Asian Americans have faced discrimination for nearly 2 centuries. From the Chinese Exclusion Act to World War II internment, their story is intertwined with bigotry and exclusion. Recent years have seen a disturbing uptick in anti-Asian hate. The roots of anti-Asian sentiment run deep. Let's dive into the long history of discrimination against Asian Americans. In the mid-19th century, Chinese immigrants arrived seeking gold and a better life. Instead, they faced hostility and violence. Businesses were vandalized, homes burned, and individuals attacked. The legal system offered little protection. In 1854, the California Supreme Court ruled that Chinese people couldn't testify against white citizens. This allowed crimes against them to go unpunished. In 1863, Los Angeles passed a law preventing Chinese residents from testifying against white citizens in court. This silenced and marginalized an entire community. On October 24, 1871, the Chinese massacre of Los Angeles occurred. A mob lynched at least 20 Chinese residents, a horrific testament to unchecked prejudice. In 1877, the San Francisco riots saw racial tensions boil over into violence. For 2 nights, white mobs rampaged through Chinatown, looting businesses and burning buildings. 4 people died, and over $100,000 in damages were inflicted on Chinese-owned property. It was a stark reminder that the flames of hatred are difficult to extinguish. In 1885, the Rock Springs Massacre shocked Wyoming. White miners attacked Chinese laborers over wages. 28 Chinese miners were killed, and Chinatown was burned. This tragedy highlighted national anti-Asian sentiment. The assault on Asian Americans wasn't just mob violence. America codified this discrimination into law, stripping their rights and dignity. The Page Act of 1875 barred Chinese women from entering the country, labeling them as potential prostitutes. This law prevented families from reuniting and reinforced harmful stereotypes. The real hammer blow came in 1882 with the Chinese Exclusion Act. This federal law banned Chinese laborers from immigrating to the U.S., the first to restrict immigration based on nationality. The act was later extended indefinitely, leaving Chinese immigrants in limbo. It was a dark chapter in American history, a blatant example of xenophobia and discrimination. In 1907, the U.S. passed the Expatriation Act, stripping American women of citizenship if they married foreign-born Asian men. It aimed to control and marginalize Asian Americans. In the 1940s, anti-miscegenation laws expanded to include Asians, enforcing racial segregation and white supremacy. During World War II, the internment of Japanese Americans was a stark example of government-sanctioned racism. In 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, leading to the forced relocation of over 120,000 Japanese Americans. They were stripped of their possessions and herded into internment camps. It was a blatant act of racism masquerading as national security. These weren't summer camps. They were prisons, surrounded by barbed wire and armed guards. Families were crammed into cramped quarters, deprived of basic necessities. Despite adversity, Asian Americans have significantly shaped American society. Let's acknowledge their invaluable contributions. The Transcontinental Railroad connecting east to west was built by 15,000 to 20,000 Chinese laborers. Their contributions were largely ignored, their stories erased. Leland Stanford, president of the Central Pacific Railroad, even admitted that without Chinese labor, the railroad could not have been completed on time, supporting anti-Chinese policies. History is often written by the victors. Sadly, anti-Asian hate persists. The COVID-19 pandemic fueled a resurgence of violence and discrimination. Asian Americans faced verbal and physical assaults, scapegoating, and hate crimes. During the 2024 campaign, Trump called COVID-19 the China virus, creating a hostile environment for Asian Americans. From California's gold mines to World War II internment camps, Asian Americans' resilience teaches us to challenge stereotypes, and stand with marginalized communities. Let's not repeat past mistakes. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks and have a great day.